Most people, the general public, as well as most physicians, think that the dietary supplement industry is the wild, wild west and completely unregulated, couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, the dietary supplement industry is heavily regulated. It's just poorly enforced. Hi, everybody. Today I'd like to talk about a contentious topic, and that's dietary supplements. And I'd like to put myths and dispel the misconceptions about the dietary supplement industry, at least in the United States, to rest here. And that most people, the general public, as well as most physicians, think that the dietary supplement industry is the wild, wild west and completely unregulated, couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, the dietary supplement industry is heavily regulated. It's just poorly enforced. So there's lots of regulations in place. It's just that the FDA is so busy because they're governing, the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry, contract manufacturers, and the list goes on, that they can only police so many people. Plus, the agency is more reactive than proactive. So, in other words, they can, until someone really gets hurt or is harmed in some way, and then that's reported via MedWatch to the FDA, these dietary supplement companies can essentially do what they want, again, because even though it's highly regulated, it's poorly enforced. So, there are mandates that you have to follow, these CFRs of certain testing and shelf life and et cetera, et cetera. And most people will also say that natural substances, natural agents, dietary supplements, and I'll put amino acids, vitamins, minerals, botanicals, I'll put them all under the same umbrella of the dietary supplements just for simplicity of this video. And a lot of people say that they don't work. And the reason that they don't work, and that's true, and the reason that they don't work is, I'll be honest with you, most of the supplements out in the marketplace nowadays, whether it's retail or it's e-commerce or it's the direct-to-consumer lines, they are garbage. They have inferior bioavailable ingredients. They have the wrong plant part being used. They have the wrong species being used. And some of the biggest culprits and culpability of why they don't work is that there's mostly just pixie dust or window dressing in them. So these formulas might look really fancy and have all these great ingredients, so they seemingly great to the unknowing consumer, is that when in fact that they're low potency. So there's not really enough of the active substance to make a therapeutic effect. So when you see these formulas, right, it's like, well, it's got 10 milligrams of this or 5 milligrams of that. Depending on the ingredient, that's not enough to do anything unless you're taking, say it's a pill, you're taking 20 or 30 pills of these things a day to actually get that amount. So I have patients that come to me all the time and say they've got, rheumatoid arthritis, and and I'll say, well, we talk about turmeric, what's work, what's not work, and they'll say, oh yeah, I've tried turmeric, it didn't really help. So my questions are always the same. Well, what kind of turmeric? Where'd you buy it? What was the form of the turmeric? Because turmeric does have low bioavailability. How much did you take? How often did you take it? And how long did you take it? And then once I put people on, say, the good stuff, all of a sudden it blows their mind and they're like, wow, I couldn't believe it. So it is unfortunate that it is buyer beware. And most of the supplements out there are not of high quality, or they're contaminated, or they're poor bioavailability, or they're not meeting label claim. And Amazon is one of the biggest culprits of this, and it's been shown time and time again by independent agencies like Consumer Lab, or now Foods, who purchase them and test them, or even the FDA themselves. They will pull product from Amazon, they will test them, and they don't meet label claim, or they're contaminated with heavy metals or bacteria. They don't meet expiration date, or even in some of these libido formulas, or many libido formulas that the FDA tested, they were contaminated with the PDE5 inhibitors, things like Cialis and Viagra. So people don't even know what they're actually getting. And I get patients that come to me all the time, or I saw this on a Meta ad, and what do you think? And it is difficult to ascertain what is legitimate, what's not, what's a good brand, what's not. And there are ways to help ascertain that by contacting the company and looking for third-party lab results, certificate analyses, things like that. Most companies who are nefarious, they're not going to give you any of that when you ask them, because their stuff is not worth anything and you're just wasting your money and sometimes even doing harm. So again, recap this conversation is that the dietary supplement industry is actually heavily regulated. It's just poorly enforced, and that's why the onus is on the consumer to be able to obtain the things, and you also have to make sure that you're getting a high quality supplement that usually costs a little bit more because of all the testing, plus it has better quality ingredients. Or coming to someone like me, a naturopathic physician, who knows what they're doing and knows how to use things to make a therapeutic effect. So I hope you found this interesting, and you can always feel free to leave comments, and I will answer them as soon as I can. Thank you.